Well, hello and welcome to the virtual open house for the MT1 Slope Stability Project. I'm going to give it about 30 seconds or so here as people are still populating into the meeting, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. Okay, it looks like we might have everybody. So I'd like to thank you for joining us for this virtual open house and the live question and answer session. My name's Brandon Coates, and I'm with RBCI. Our company is working with MDT on the public outreach for this project specifically. And just wanted to let you know a few things about the session tonight. So during this online session, MDT and the project team is going to provide an overview of the project, talk about the planned construction activities, and then following the presentation, we'll do a live question and answer session. Get your answers to your questions. In order to participate in that Q&A session, I'd like you to locate the Q&A button that's on the bottom of your screen. And if you click on that button, it should pop open a box that you can type in, and it will send a message to us. And then we will hold all the questions until after the presentation, and then go ahead and answer them. So there'll all be written questions coming in, and then we will answer them live following the presentation. This online session is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be posted on the project website, same place that you went to register. So please invite your neighbors, coworkers, and friends that couldn't attend to view the presentation later by just visiting the project website. It will have an audio recording as well as the slides. So they'll be able to listen to the presentation and the question and answers. The presentation that we conducted at noon today will also be posted on there as well. So that website address will be shown again at the end of the presentation. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Daryl Williams from MDT.
Okay, thank you, Brandon, and thank you everybody for attending this evening's session. My name is Daryl Williams. I'm the Missoula District Construction Operations Engineer. And my role on this project will be to be assisting and supporting our engineering project manager in his role with contract administration. So before we go any further, I would like for those on the call here on our panel to unmute and introduce themselves and tell you guys about their role in the project. We'll start with Matt Straub.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matt Straub. I'm the engineering project manager for the Montana Department of Transportation on this project. My crew of inspectors and I will oversee the day-to-day operations of the contractor. My inspectors will be on site whenever the contractor is working, monitoring the flow of traffic and the contract progress. We're basically the crew that has the boots on the ground and making sure everything's going well.
All right, thank you, Matt. Brett Boundy.
Yeah, this is Brett Boundy, and I'm with the geotechnical section. I'm an engineering geologist, and I did quite a bit of the analysis and kind of design work on this project.
Great, thank you, Brett. Let's move to Andy Barsness.
Thanks, Daryl. My name is Andy Barsness. I work in public involvement for this project and will be helping facilitate the question and answer portion tonight.
Great, thank you, Andy. Brandon Coates.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Brandon Coates with RBCI, and I am doing the public outreach and communication on this project. I will be the main point of contact for you to get questions answered or just to get more information throughout the project. We'll talk about the ways that you can stay involved and stay informed a little bit later in the presentation. So thank you for joining us.
Sounds good, Brandon. Thank you. Okay, everyone. So I would like to start by just telling you a little bit about the project. The project is located less than a mile north of Georgetown Lake Road on Flint Creek Pass between Anaconda and Phillipsburg. The rough mileposts that this project is located is between milepost 28.0 and 28.4. So that's the location of the project. MDT constructs and maintains rockfall mitigation structures all across the street, all across the state. And we have identified this stretch of road as being in need of routine maintenance for hazardous rock removal. This is a preventative maintenance project, which in simplified terms will help keep the rocks off of the highway through this section and provide a safer route for the traveling public. So I just want everybody to know on the call that the road is safe to drive on. We're just being proactive to mitigate any possible future rockfall hazards that could occur. So next I would like to talk about the schedule a little bit. MDT has accelerated the development and the design of this project in order to get a contractor hired and work to remove potentially hazardous rocks like I've talked about. And we hope to have this completed in 2022. Construction is expected to start about the second week of September and is anticipated to be substantially complete late in the fall of 2022. And this is all dependent on the availability of materials, and that's why I state that it is expected to be substantially complete. So so if all of the work is not completed by the end of 2022, the contractor would take off the winter period anywhere between November and April, and they would come back in the spring to early summer of 2023 to finish up any work that was not completed. The heavy rock scaling that will require a road closure will definitely be complete in 2022. So, and over the winter period, between November of 22 and April, May of 23, there will be no traffic control measures that will be stopping traffic. There will be two-way traffic throughout the winter. So if I could get the next slide, please. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the improvements we have planned with this project. So we'll be repairing and replacing existing rockfall mitigation structures. We'll be removing potentially hazardous unstable rock material, and we'll be cleaning out the roadside ditch. There will be the signs in the area will be removed and reset in the project area. The ones that will be affected by the project, they'll be removed, but we will reset those. Some of the mitigation features, the purpose of rockfall mitigation is to increase motorist safety while traveling on Montana's roads and highways. Rockfall mitigation includes several methods for removing potentially hazardous rock materials, and we often call this type of work rock scaling. So structures such as fences and barriers and other safety features often installed help they all help keeping the rocks off the road, and on this project, that is our goal. So next, I would like to turn it over to our engineering project manager, Matt Straub, and he will go into more detail about what to expect during construction. So thank you, everybody, and I'll turn it over to Matt Straub.
Thank you, Daryl. I'm going to talk about traffic control measures and what to expect during the construction. MDT and the contractor plan to maintain alternating single lane traffic with signals and flaggers during the daytime with delays up to 30 minutes. The nighttime traffic control configuration will be alternating single lane traffic with signals with delays between 5 and 10 minutes. The work zone is relatively short at 1 mile, so our traffic control cycles will be short during the nighttime. During the daytime, the 30-minute delays are necessary to allow the contractor to complete the scaling work. There's two types of work that's really going to go on while we're out there, and the light scaling we can do while maintaining traffic running through the project. The heavy scaling is going to require a 5-day, 40 or 24-hour-a-day closure. There's a lot of rock that's hanging high above the roadway that we need to bring down without endangering the workers or the traveling public. We'll discuss a little bit more of the potential closure a little later. The traffic control plan is continually evolving at this point. We'll share more with the specifics as we get closer to the time of construction. Now can we switch the slide? We'll talk about the specific road closure. MDT and the contractor will try to minimize the inconvenience to the traveling public during construction. Work to remove rock materials from the sides of the mountain can be dangerous for workers and the public. A 5-day closure of the road is necessary day and night to allow the contractor to safely remove materials. The public will be notified about this closure well in advance of any planned closures. Brandon will talk a little bit more about those notifications later. The anticipated time frame for the 5-day closure is expected to be in early October. The contractor's schedule is not finalized right now, so those dates might move a little. It might be a little earlier than the beginning of October. It might be a little later than the beginning of October. As that time approaches, we'll let everybody know. The anticipated traffic controls. The highway will be closed to through traffic between Highway 38 and Georgetown Lake to provide for an adequate place for vehicles to turn around during that 5-day closure. There are no feasible detour routes available for this section of road. There will be no designated detour route as part of this project. If you have to get through or to the other side of that, MDT recommends going out to I-90 and driving back around to the backside. During the closure, MDT will work closely with local emergency services, the school district, the U.S. Forest Service, and the county to mitigate any emergencies that come up. Electronic message boards will be placed at the intersection of major regional roads and highways, providing advance warning of the closure at least a week in advance of the work. I'm now going to turn back over to Brandon Coates from RBCI, and he can give you a little more specifics about our advance warning.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Yeah, again, my name is Brandon Coates, and our company's role is to be the communication portion of this project. So we'll be working on the public outreach during construction. I'd also like to take this time real quick to remind you about the Q&A button. I know there's a few folks that have joined us since we started. So down at the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A button. If you click on that, it'll pop up a little dialog box. You can type into that and it'll submit questions to the project team, and then we'll answer those questions here at the end of the presentation. So so back to our role, communication about the road closures is definitely a high priority for us. We have met with local emergency responders in the school and the county to establish some communication channels, and we'll continue to keep them well informed about traffic and the potential closures along with the public. There's several ways that we're planning on providing notifications about especially the closures, and some of those are mailers, and I think some of you probably received those mailers that are attending this meeting, that the meeting notifications. We'll reach out to the news media with news releases. We have radio advertisements planned, social media Facebook posts that we'll put out through MDT's Facebook page and boost those advertisements. And then we have email and text message updates and updates to the project website. The other major feature that we'll be using for the closures is these electronic message boards, as Matt mentioned before. And we're planning to place those throughout the region at key decision points. So major points of that a decision needs to be made about which route to take. And you can see on the map, we have a few of those points called out there so that folks don't travel all the way up and find a closed road. And especially these electronic message boards are especially helpful for reaching regional people that are traveling from, out of the region, not local, generally. So they will be providing closure information at least a week in advance of the planned closure. And like Matt was saying earlier, if the contractor is able to give us a schedule or a timeline, like right now they're thinking the first week of October, but we'll wait till they can assess things and see how work is progressing, because there's things that need to happen before that closure. Then we'll get the word out that we're looking at a closure approximately this week or these 2 weeks. And then as that date gets closer and closer, so we'll tighten that up so that information is coming out when the closure is going to be planned at least a week in advance. So just want to give you as much time and notification ahead of time about that closure. So the other part about getting the word out too is we're working with the schools, the county, and other organizations, Forest Service, that can distribute information through their communication channels too, whether electronically or we'll be hanging signs and flyers in local businesses. So those are some of our methods for making sure you know what's coming. So, and speaking about staying informed, one of the best ways to stay informed is to sign up to receive updates. And we have both text updates and email updates. To sign up for a text update, just text the word SLOPE to 866-434-0866. That is a toll-free phone number. Or if you want to receive email updates, you can text SLOPE to 22828. That's the phone number you would enter into your smartphone. One thing to let you know about too, text updates are about 160 characters. So the information there might say that there's a closure ahead and give maybe the date that we're anticipating, and then it'll have a link. And if you click on that link, it'll take you to the email update that'll be able to provide much more information about the closure and information you need to have to travel through the area. So I strongly encourage you to sign up for those and to share that information with family members and friends as well. So with that, that's going to conclude our presentation portion of the meeting, and we'll begin the Q&A session here shortly. So if you want to start adding in some questions there, feel free. The project website is on this slide, and we'll keep this up during the Q&A, but It is mdt.mt.gov/pubinvolve/MT1SS. And that's the same website that you went to register for this meeting. We will have links on that page that go to public meeting. That's where we'll put the presentation and the recordings. And then there's also a link on that page for construction updates, and we'll be updating that page throughout the project. So yeah, I would like to, yes, thank you for participating, and also remind you that if you have any friends or neighbors that weren't able to participate, direct them to that project website so they can view the recording or the presentation slides or both. And at any time during the project, feel free to contact me. My email address, brandon@rbci.net, or the phone number 406-284-1500. And we have had some calls from folks that don't have internet or smartphones. So that phone number is a good way to reach us and get information about the project. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Andy to see if we've had any questions.
Yes, thanks, Brandon. This is Andy Barsness with RBCI. We'll go ahead and start the question and answer portion now. As a reminder, if you do have a question you want to ask, if you hit that little Q&A button at the bottom, that will pop up a window that allows you to type that in and submit it to us. And then we'll do our best to answer those in the order that they come in. We do have a question here from Cindy, and Cindy asks, will the rock that is removed be available for citizens to repurpose some of it? It is beautiful rock and makes lovely outdoor ovens, paths, and fire pits. Great. Well, thank you for the question, Cindy. Matt, would you like to take that one?
Sure. Thank you, Andy. The excess rock will be the responsibility of the contractor to dispose of. The disposal site has not yet been finalized, so it's going to depend on what the contractor decides to do with that rock, because it's no longer MDT's property.
Okay, great, Matt. Thank you again for the question, Cindy. Looks like we have another question from Linda. Linda asks, what will happen in emergency situations if I need to get to Anaconda? Matt, would you be able to take that one as well?
Yeah, emergency situations will have to be taken by a case-by-case basis, but we have been working with the local EMS and fire responders to come up with a plan so that we can allow them passage during our closure, so that we don't sacrifice the public safety.
Great, thanks, Matt, and thank you for the question, Linda. Okay, we haven't had any more questions come in yet. So again, if you do have a question and want to hit that little Q&A button at the bottom, feel free to type that in and submit it for us, and then we'll do our best to get it answered. We'll give just a few minutes here so that anybody who wants to ask a question has the chance to do so.
Andy, I'd like to share some more information with the public too about the MDT's 511mt.net website. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but if you go to enter in 511mt.net, and you can get a travel info map that if you click on the sidebar over here, you can toggle on construction, restrictions, incidents, and that will give you a lot of information. It's the same place to go for weather information to find out especially during the winter time, roads that are closed or snow and ice. And it's just a really good tool. Once construction starts here, you'll see a little safety cone in this area, similar to the one that's over here for the I-90 work near Deer Lodge. And that information is updated regularly and will be a quick access. It's also available as an app on a smartphone. So.
Yep, great information, Brandon. Thank you. And still haven't had any more questions come in. So if you do think of something, please feel free to hit that Q&A. And of course, if you don't have a question at the moment, but do think of something, feel free to reach out to Brandon or I, and we'd be happy to get that answered for you at any time down the road too.
Yeah, I'll be a contact point for you all through construction. That makes it easier for me to get the question and then find out who the correct person at MDT or the contractor to answer that question, so that you don't have to try to find multiple people. We can get that answered for you and get back to you. So
Great. All right, Brendan. Well, I don't think we've had any more questions, so I'll turn it back over to you.
thanks, Andy. So again, I think we're going to wrap up the presentation and the Q&A. And if you didn't get your question answered, or if you think of it later, just send me an email and we'll get back to you as soon as we can with that information. And until then, please have a safe and happy Labor Day weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep, thank you. We'll see you later. Have a good evening.